Hi, it's Meggie with Healthy Holistic Living, and I love feet. I don't always love how they smell, but I sure love what they do for us. And so in my big shout out to feet, I would like to educate you if there is dysfunction in your feet, primarily plantar fasciitis. According to BetterBraces.com, their statistic runs that 2 million people are being affected by plantar fasciitis. And gosh, that just like it hurts my feelings because feet do so much for us. Feet are the means to running and playing and walking, and when they are hurt and beat up and sore, that is just no good. They will shut you down. So let's talk about some education, and then I've got some really awesome helpful hints of how to get out of plantar fasciitis, because that is one of the hardest things about this specific dysfunction is that because like there's no way to just rest your feet. There's nothing that we can do during our day that doesn't utilize our foot or feet or walking around or something. So it's really hard. It's really easy to get plantar fasciitis. It's really hard to get rid of plantar fasciitis. So it's going to start with education, because education and awareness is power. Power is empowering. We are reclaiming our bodies, so we got to know about them first. The words plantar fasciitis. So itis means inflammation. Anytime you see itis stuck to something, it means this is mad and inflamed. Fascia is it is a dense irregular connective tissue that it's like a spider web or glue, silly putty in the body. Fascia typically is used for compartmentalization and then wrapping and encasements. It helps us do everything. So fascia sometimes gets a bad rap because it's a buildup of fascia that is causing so much damage, but we need fascia. We love fascia. It transmits messages through our body. It helps keeps my quads in the front, my hamstrings in the back, that IT band you've probably heard about. So when it gets built up, that's when we start to see dysfunction in the body. I'm talking about fascia because it's in the name of the inflammation of the fascia. Plantar tells me where it is on the plantar surface. That's on the bottom of my foot. Dorsal surface, plantar surface. So we're on the plantar surface of our foot. So something is causing inflammation on the fascia on the bottom of our feet. That's what plantar fasciitis is. So the bad news is the inflammation shows up usually in response, specifically on the bottom of the foot, usually in response to an injury or a tear or a rip. So something happened that caused the fascia to give way and rip, okay? So here's the perpetuating state. We'll talk about causes and we'll talk about solutions, but the perpetuating state of plantar fasciitis is that it's on the bottom of my foot. The fascia cools and there's inflammation. So in a cooling state, I finally get off my feet. Most people with plantar fasciitis, you wake up in the morning and you're okay, but you step down out of bed and it's like ripping and tearing and pins and needle sensation and everything on the body. You're like, ah, because it's ripping and tearing and ripping through that fascia. It's cooled in this state. So it's cold jello. And then you step out of bed and it literally rips through all of that tissue because it's causing a length, and it's your body's whole body weight that just goes and rips both of the bottoms of your feet. And you're like, ha, 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 and you finally get to the shower, and then in a hot shower, everything starts to feel better. Or when you're walking around, it starts to warm things up, it starts to feel better. Because in that cold state, we warm it up, it starts to loosen, and okay. I make it through my day until the aches and pains catch up with me, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, the bottoms of my feet, because earlier this morning I totally ripped through everything. So I need to get off my feet. So I do, and I'm in my comfy chair, and I let my feet relax finally, and they cool again in this shortened state on the bottom of my feet. Guess what happens when I get out of my comfy chair? That's that perpetuating state of always having plantar fasciitis. Once you get it, how do you get rid of it? Another one is when we go to bed at night, our body cools. So if I sleep on my back, my toes are relaxed, I've got this nice heavy comforter, cools in a shortened state. Maybe I'm a tummy sleeper, cools in a shortened state. I'm on my side, I've got a better chance, but I don't know a lot of people that sleep like this with their feet out and they're like, oh, I gotta compensate for plantar fasciitis. So then first thing in the morning, guess what happens? I get out of bed, and I always stay injured because I'm always just repeatedly ripping the fascia on the bottom of my foot, causing inflammation, and then my whole body starts to wreak havoc because we don't even get me started on inflammation. Like, oh man, there's a whole other video. What do we do about it? I will tell you. This is what. Here are some quick, easy things that you can do. warm the tissue up before you step on it. Your body weight on top of that shortened, cooled fascia is too much for the body to handle. So whether it's manually just rub your foot, or a tennis ball that you're working your foot over the top of the tennis ball, you could get, I picked up one of these. I don't have plantar fasciitis, but I don't want it. This is just an easy foot roller, and you can roll your foot on it. Easiest trick is probably your tennis ball, because then you're not buying anything fancy or specific. You can use a yoga ball, or excuse me, a yoga block to kind of work the bottom of your foot. If you've got the yoga block, just kind of work the tissue on the bottom of your foot, and you can slowly and gently stretch the bottom of your foot, bring that toe up, kind of work all the angles before you put your full body weight down onto your foot. That's gonna be your easiest one. You're welcome to engage a professional help or a professional specialist about the foot. That's why they treat this with a boot. They put your foot in that boot to hold you in a zero position, not pointed and not flexed, but a zero position to let that tissue cool and heal in its lengthened state, to then stop that perpetuating aggression that keeps happening in ripping these. But not only do I have that quick fix to help get you off that pain cycle, I also want to teach you what to do to prevent it and make your foot strong. I've got an at-home exercise that will, man, it's so good for you, and it's so good for your walk. So before I teach it to you, I want to teach you just a little bit more about your foot. In our footprint, what we should see is heel, outside lateral edge, cross the ball of the foot, and a push off with the big toe. That is the proper way where we put pronation. These are fancy anatomical words for where our foot is leaning in towards or out of. But the heel starts that swing phase. I land with the heel for the step, right? And I move into the pronation around the outside of my foot, through the ball of my foot, and then I push off with my big toe. So we would have this funny kind of Berenstain Bears foot mark if we were walking properly. Now, a lot of people complain that they get plantar fasciitis from high heels or improper foot structure. That's primarily the number one cause is bad shoes. So shoes that don't support your foot, shoes that force you into one position. So like wooden clogs, those are not great for plantar fasciitis. High heels, anything that doesn't move with your foot. In a perfect world, we'd all walk around barefoot, or foot shoes, sock shoes, or really good cross trainers. Now, here's a funny thing that also people are going towards is these inserts and insoles to support your arch. This is really good if you have bad arches while you train and retrain your arches. But, yes, I said that, you can retrain your arches. As we move our foot, we tend to, like, the insole helped us for a while, but now it's the thing that's causing my foot pain, because as you use that brace to support your foot starts to relearn its own arch, and you've got to either shift in your insole or shift away from the insole, because your foot will learn and retrain. And that's the big exercise that I have for you. We have 3 arches in our foot. We've got the medial arch, that's the one on the inside, that's the one that gives us the height. This keeps us from rotating inward. It also helps with the launch phase. So we're going to use the transverse arch for spring and the medial arch to kind of pull and lift and like push off that big toe. The lateral arch is on the outside, and it keeps us from rolling our ankle to the out. So the 3 of them together keep us level in our ankle space and promote bounce and the push off for our step. And then we bring in the dorsal muscles to flip our foot upward, and we hit the heel again. So we hit heel, round to the lateral, push off the big toe, and hit again. And we get this really smooth stride, and then into a run that doesn't start to cause other problems like knee dysfunction or pelvic bowl damage or things like that when our feet are off. We fight gravity from the ground up. So our foot has to be spot on. If I'm struggled with crooked toes and bunions and a a flat arch and a drop thing and a swollen ankle, the rest of my body is not gonna stack properly on top of the first building block that's tipped. So we gotta make sure our feet are spot on. We gotta take care of them. Here's your exercise. We're gonna do bringing foot down, toes up, foot up. This might sound like an incredibly easy exercise, and it is, but you would be amazed at the difference that it makes in your foot. So I challenge you to even walk around before you do this exercise, then do 10 or 12 on each side with that foot down, toes up, foot up, and then walk around again and see how you feel. I'd love to hear feedback, and I want to add to this exercise, so let's get good in our walking so that we can take it up a notch and go to the next level. When dealing with the pain of plantar fasciitis, that ripping of the fascia is happening on this plantar surface of the foot. It comes from the gastroc and the soleus, and that calcanea tendon pulls on the calcanea. This is heel bone or your Achilles, the Achilles tendon. It's called the calcanea tendon, and it all kind of gets really angry and starts to pull and yank. So if I'm standing, or it'll just pull, but my foot doesn't give way, so it rips and it tears in this space. So a quick solution for pain, because then we can start promoting those exercises of toes up, toes down, foot up, foot down, is just, I reach for the CBD hemp magnesium oil by My Core Essentials, and it's an easy application. I just spray it on anywhere that's hurting in the foot. I use this for myself, I use this on clients, and then I'm able to get some relief from pain, and then I can do those exercises. Because something that might slow you down is if it hurts too much to move the foot, we got to resolve with the pain first. Thank you for watching, and on behalf of everyone here at Healthy Holistic Living, you are worth it.